All right, there we go. It says we're live here. Good morning. I see Leanne is already here waiting. I'm going to give a minute or two to make sure everything catches up and to make sure my sound is coming through. I know we had a little problem with that last time. Make sure that that's working. Okay, and I just checked and I heard the sound, so you'll hear it for just a second. Hello, Miss Holly Brown. Welcome. Hey, my friend Leah's here. Hi, Cindy and Wendy. Okay, feeling way better. I know you guys might have known I was sick last week. That's why I didn't do anything live. I did power through the Pinkfresh event this past weekend. So much better now, but I still got a little bit of that nagging cough. So every once in a while, I just apologize. I've got my tea, I've got my water. It's barely anything compared to what it was. So I just kind of had missed going live here on my channel. So I just decided to squeeze it in here at the end of the week. And I had mentioned at the end of the Pinkfresh event that I really wanted to use those, the Cherry Bliss set that was part of their newest release. And I'm kind of just doing something I haven't done in a really long time. And I'm mixing and matching product from several different companies. I'm going to use that stamp stencil die set from Pinkfresh Studio. I'm going to use a die from Pretty Pink Posh. I've got an embossing folder from Simon Says, and I'm going to use the Simon Says inks just to kind of shake things up. And then I've got some Spellbinders, paper, and embellishments, so just kind of fun to play around. Let's see. Lucy G Cards, hello, and Michelle and Jennifer and Elena, if I'm saying your name right. Can't believe you made it live. I'm so glad that you are here. I'm kind of excited. I haven't, like I said, this isn't something I've really done in a really long time, just mixing so many different products. So I feel like there's kind of some fun freedom in that. And generally, I've just kind of tried to stay confined company to company. And for the most part, I still will probably overall do that more often than not. But on some of these, I just kind of have that ability to do some things a little bit differently. So I wanted to go ahead and do that. And I got a big old package from Simon this week. My last order came, and some of these things are brand new that just, got into my hot little hands a couple days ago. So I'm super excited to play with them and show you those that we're going to be working with. I kind of got an idea for a new technique that I want to try. I have no idea if it'll go well or not, but I figured might as well just have the fun of doing it live. So, excuse that cough for just a second. I think we've given a few minutes for everybody to kind of find this. So I'm going to go ahead and switch the camera around, and we'll just dive right in and go ahead and get started. And while we do that, I'm going to grab a sip of my tea. Okay, so there we have the camera switched. So as I already mentioned, I'm going to use this really cute Cherry Bliss stamp stencil die combo. The embossing folder that I have in mind to use, and all of these are linked down in the video description, so if you have any questions or you're wondering where to find them or trying to catch the name again, they're all down there. This is a Simon Says embossing folder. Now this is a rare one because it's not a 3D, it's just your standard embossing folder. So the sandwich is a little bit easier, but it's called Swiss Dots. So cute and just a perfect, super versatile embossing folder that I really love. And then I have these eyelet circles. These are from Pretty Pink Posh. And I just love the design, and I thought that would go really cute with my cherries. Then I'm just kind of walking through what I'm using here. So if you bear with me, I've got some different Simon Says inks. Are they off? They're not going to fit. Let's just slide a couple of them over there. Just want to fit them all on the screen so you can see everything. All right. This buttercream is my favorite, just kind of cream neutral. I want to use that with a hint of that on the flower on my cherry. And then check out these embellishments. They're from Spellbinders. They're called Woodland Tales Gems. And I have to pull them out of the package here, but they're these, they're kind of like faceted. They've got all the little straight lines on them, and they're beautiful colors with some gold glitter and then also like some gold flaking in there. that I think those pink ones are kind of what I'm leaning towards using. I can't wait to get these on a card. They came and they were so much prettier in person than I even expected. So super tickled about that. Oh yeah. And then we've got a little bit of embossing ink, of course. Yeah, Leah, I think, oh, you have those. Yes, you do need to use them. All right, and then I grabbed this cardstock paper pack from Simon Says carries it, and it's got a whole fun array of kind of, I think, holiday colors, I guess you would say. There's like a really rich, pretty red, a few different red tones, some green tones, but there's 2 pinks in there. And I'm going to use, you can see kind of the difference in the shade. This really soft pale pink is just lovely. So I think I'm going to use that with that embossing folder. And then who knows, we'll see where it all ends up carrying and going to. So let's go ahead and just dive in and get started. So let's start with, I think our cherries. We need to get started with those. So I'm just going to kind of move all of this out of the way. Excuse me, try not to hack in your right in the microphone there, but if it did, I apologize in advance. All right, so I'm gonna grab these cherries out. Let me grab, of course I forgot to grab my Misty in advance. I'm going to heat emboss these today with gold, because I think with those little gems and the gold tidbits in there, I just feel like embossing in gold would be kind of a fun idea. Oops, I only need 1 piece of cardstock, it turns out. Elena says she loves mixing and matching because she struggles to get the latest products in South Africa. That's amazing that you're joining from that far away. Thank you so much for being here today for this. All right, I'm just going to line that up in there. Otherwise, I need to grab my gold embossing paper out. And we're going to use powder tool on that to make sure we don't have any ink stick anywhere that we don't want it to. And then I'm going to do a good stamp on here. And I'm going to stamp this a couple times just because once you get the powder tool on there, I feel like it dries out that paper a little bit. And you know, what's the point of having this amazing stamp positioner if you can't stamp multiple times? Now I'm hoping I didn't. I feel like that shifted a little bit. We'll see. If it did, I'll just start over. We haven't gone that far, but maybe we're okay. That actually does look okay, I think. I know you guys can't see, but all right, let me get my gold embossing powder. Hello, Mercedes. All right, I'm just using Simon Says Ultrafine Gold for this. I thought about Gold Pearl, but I wanted a little more of a crisp true gold. Again, kind of basing it on those lovely gems that I'm planning on using because I want this gold to kind of offset with that. All right, last little bit there. Looks like I got a little something wonky there. So I'm just gonna grab a clean brush and scrub that loose real quick. Dust that off. Probably just got like a little smudge of something for my fingers on there. Or when I coughed, who knows? I don't talk about that, that's gross. All right, let me grab my heat gun. And we'll go ahead and get this heat set real fast. I don't know if this will mute or not, so if it's loud, I apologize. Hello, Michael Rutledge joining. Welcome. And Elena, to answer your question, if you make a card inspired, you are absolutely allowed to share it. Please. I am of the opinion that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. So I would be honored if you feel like making a card inspired, and tag me in it because I would love to see it as well. All right, so we've got those lovely heat embossed, and that did a pretty good job of fixing the little whatever happened up there. Excuse me. All right, let's pull out those layering stencils and grab my ink stand. And then we'll just start working our way through these. Hello, Julie. Hello, Marianne. Welcome. So glad you can join today. Okay, I'm going to do my usual, add my little pieces of Post-it tape to the back. That's kind of my favorite way to hold a stenciling thing in place. We're just going to wiggle around until we're happy with the way it's lined up. I do see there that it would probably be helpful to move that. There we go. All right, that's still lined up good, so I'm happy there. Embossing is so fun, Mercedes. I love that. For birthday sentiments, she said. Never can have enough of those. All right, let me grab a microfiber cloth. All right, I'm starting here with, I'm going to rotate this around to make sure it's on camera maybe a little bit better. I'm using some Simon Says ink. I think I mentioned that already. And I realize here too, though, I want to do, actually, let's hold off on that for just a second. Let's switch over to that buttercream tone. That's what I want to do for that flower there. And I'm not going to worry about masking because if a little bit of this gets under the paint, it's just going to add some dimension and everything. And I just have, this is actually a Pinkfresh brush a while ago that I set aside just to keep specifically for this ink color. So I'm just adding a tiny little bit. I want to keep this really soft and neutral. Hello, Betty. You're not that late. You've hardly even started, so no worries whatsoever. And then I'm going to grab one of the ittiest bittiest of the Simon brushes and just grab that cheeky a little bit. I'm going to brush a little off and then just hit a little of that in the center of that flower. That way we're kind of getting the almost a little bit of a vintagey tone to our cherry blossom. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. Although I do see a little more of the buttercream down there. All right. Now we'll go back to that punch color. And this spot now is where I am going to mask off that flower because I want the cherries red, but I want to keep that flower really soft. So I'm going to grab one of my Simon brushes, just a small one, because I want to kind of keep it well confined. And I'm going to go, let's see, where do I want? I think if I go down, come in this way. Just trying to decide where I want my deepest shading. I love cherries. I live in Washington State, and we grow on the other side of the state, of course. Grow a lot of cherries, so I always love cherry season when it comes out. All right, let's do the same on this one. Keeping really deep down in this corner and leaving a good bit of shading there. So I keep some areas much, much lighter. I'm really going deep on some of that color because I want to get it really rich. And like I said, really get that cherry tone nice and bright and bold. I really like that red. That's one of my new favorites. It's still got a good, I don't know how to describe the undertone, but it's definitely one of my favorites. Okay, I am going to come back to this stencil again in a little bit. So I'm going to move this aside and do a quick clean with just some rubbing alcohol because I don't want the red on this. And I'll show you, I mean, we'll see if my idea works, but I do need this one again at the end. So I'm going to clean that now. Normally I would wait and hit it all at the end, but we're gonna jump ahead a little. Okay, let's move on to our next stencil, which I can see hits the leaves and also the detail layer on the flower. So definitely gonna have to do a little bit of masking to make that work today. Then I'm gonna do the same. Let's grab that little tiny punch now. I'm just gonna hit a little more of that color, the cheeky there, make it a little tiny bit deeper. And then I'm gonna, yeah, I just wanted to peel back and make sure I was happy with how much of that I put on there. It didn't need much. And just so I don't end up with red mixing into my green, we're gonna mask this with a clean little bit of Post-it tape. So I don't want to lose. There we go. Make sure we get it masked well in that little tiny area there. And then let's grab Cabbage is the next ink I'm going to use, which I just have to laugh at using an ink called Cabbage for the leaves on a cherry, but we're going to go with it anyway. Okay, make sure I've got whatever last color cleaned off of that, hopefully. And then we're going to do same thing we did on the, ooh, that's a good color. I really like that. I wasn't entirely sure on that one how I was going to feel about it, but Cindy, I remember, I see she said she has fond memories of eating cherries from a tree at her grandpa's house. When I was growing up, we actually had, there's a cherry tree that my grandpa had grafted like 3 different types of cherries onto one tree. And so we got lots of variety from that. That was really fun. And I don't know, they were kind of not like your common types of cherry that you know, just buy at the store. I know there was one that was, it wasn't a Bing cherry, but it was like that deep red. And then there was more of a light cherry. I have no idea what that one would be called. And then there's one we called Royal Anne's. They're very similar to like a Rainier cherry that you would buy at the store now. So look at how pretty that is. All right, let's get that out of the way. And this one, I might use this one as well. So I am going to clean this stencil. The last ones I don't think we're going to need, but these one and the first one maybe. I know Leanne, the Rainier, or Leah, not Leanne, sorry, I looked at the wrong spot on there. Rainier cherries are the best. I know I've gotten so many people to taste them because they look at them and think, oh, they're not going to be, they're not going to taste very good because they just look kind of anemic compared to like the really deep, rich Rainier cherry that you see. But once you try them, they are quite certainly the best. They're so sweet. Cindy, you know what? I actually don't remember if they did all flower differently. I just remember the whole tree being covered with blossoms. And I always remember trying to chase the crows out of the tree. I think as kids, like we would sit and have rocks when the crows would try and go eat our cherries before we could get them. And we'd try and throw rocks at them and scare them away. I'm sure they got way more than we did, but there was still plenty for all of us to enjoy. All right, Artichoke is the next one, and this is going to get the detail of, it's actually not with the heat embossing, probably going to be super visible on a lot of it, but we'll just slip it in there anyway because we can. As I'm looking at this, I'm almost wondering if I should have grabbed a little bit of brown for the stems on there, but we also, yes, Holly, we had a sour cherry tree. So we would pick that and make, they were like the pie cherries, is what we called them. Let's see, let me peel that off. You know, I do think I'm going to grab, I didn't put a brown ink on there, but let me just grab one real quick. let's just put a little bit of, I think cappuccino is a good one. I'll add that to the link list later, but I'm thinking a little bit of that thrown in just like on the part of the stems that goes, let's see, not that, although maybe a little touch at the base. Mostly on the, like that branch and then kind of the base of each of the leaves. Just a little bit to blend in there. Why not? Yeah, I know someone said that they were, Cindy says she's hungry for cherries now. Me too. Me too. Oh, yes. Okay, that brown was a good choice. Like I said, I'll link that up at the end in case anyone was wondering what color I used. I love these, you guys, so much already. Okay, let's come in here. Let's see. This looks like we're just gonna put this on onto the cherries. Let's get them maybe. Yeah, there we go. Make sure it's all, I think as long as it goes inside, we should be good to go. All right, I see we have one more little cherry center, and I think, you know what, let's just do a little bit of the leftover ink from the lightest red. Just super soft, so it'll add just enough to be a little bit deeper color, but not too crazy. And we'll cover that up, and we're gonna come in with nice and bold sangria. North of Spokane, exactly, Leanne. That's some of the area that I think of when I think of going to buy cherries. All right, let's add our little bit of extra. This is really bold, so I don't think I'm gonna need any more ink than I just grabbed. We're gonna get it in there. I think that's enough for all of the areas. Just gonna keep grabbing the extra ink and put it in place up there. Okay, yeah, that was plenty nice and juicy and plenty of ink there, so we should be good to go. I pull that little masking off, and then here's our, ooh, I have ink on my fingers. Better clean that off real quick. There we go. I was like, why is there a brown smudge up there? That shouldn't be. That's attached to me. Oh my goodness. All right. Beautiful, right? All right, now let's see if my next idea works. These inks might be juicy enough that I don't even need to add this on, but I'm still going to take that extra step. So we're going to go back to our first stencil. I just think of like cherries, you know, how they're really fresh and shiny and juicy and everything. So I thought, you know what? Let's try and just get a little embossing ink on there and emboss them. I'm just going to kind of dab it on with some clear embossing powder and see if it'll kind of add some fun additional shine. Might as well do it on the flower too, right? And then we might do it on the leaves too. I haven't decided that yet, but all right. Oops, definitely smudged something there, but I don't think you'll even be able to tell. Let's get a little bit of clear embossing powder on that and see how it works. Oh, and you know what? I was right. It is going to stick just fine because that ink I used has, it's really juicy. So it's still wet in all of the spots where I ink blended. But adding the extra on the cherries, I think, is still a good call because it's going to make sure that we get an extra good bit of coverage on there. All right, let's see how this goes. Let's heat set this. All right, I hope you guys can see how fun that is. It kind of muted the colors down. It definitely, so it embossed a little bit on the leaves, but it was definitely less on there, which I kind of love because it gives a little bit of a textured look. And then the flowers and the cherries are just glossy. And it totally changed the look of them doing that. I feel like it's going to make these like a little, almost like an enamel embellishment. So, yay. You ever have those ideas where you're just like, I hope this works. I hope it doesn't backfire on me and do something way worse than what I wanted it to do. But, oh, it's so shiny. And then the gold heat embossing kind of remelted on there. And so it just kind of mixed in a little, so it almost softened the lines. I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like it's got, I guess it kind of looks a little like the gold leafing, like on these embellishments, like I was kind of hoping for. So super duper fun. All right, let me clean off my desk a little because stray embossing powder makes me a little bit crazy. And then move these out of the way. I'll clean these up better later. Now I want to put the stamp set away because I want to have room to stamp my sentiment when we get to that point. And then, that way I have that out of the way, these out of the way, and then let's grab, use my mess here, grab that coordinating die real quick. You can put that on there. And I saw what Leah said about cherries growing in Montana. I might have said this already. I feel like my brain's a little discombobulated this morning, but I never would have thought of Montana as a spot that grew them, but it's amazing all the places that they do grow. Cindy, yes, when I was done coloring, I added clear embossing powder over the layer with the flowers and the cherry, and then some of the embossing powder stuck on the leaves as well. Yeah, Michael, I guess that's kind of it too, a little one, like when you varnish a painting. It kind of just adds a different touch to these cherries that I love. Okay, let's get this taped down really well. Just one more piece of tape because the heat embossing kind of makes the paper warp a little. Once I die cut, that's going to help flatten that down. Let me grab my die cut plates. I'm going to take these off camera and be right back. All right, let's pop these juicy and lovely little cherries off. Oh my goodness, they look good enough to eat, you guys. All right, set that aside. Put that die away so I don't lose it. All right, let's go ahead. Let me clean up a couple things here real quick to make room. I'm gonna grab out that piece of cardstock. If you weren't here at the very beginning, I picked up this new set of papers. It's Spellbinders carried at Simon Says. This is the Make It Merry paper pack. It's got just a fun little array of kind of Christmassy holiday colors, but my favorite is this really soft pink that you can kind of see. There's the two tones of the pink, and I'm using that soft one today. And I might be a little hoardery with it because I'm not going to make a whole card base, but I am going to emboss a panel for the front of my card, just because I don't want to use a full-on half of it right off the bat. I want to stretch this out and enjoy it. So I'm going to cut this down into an A2 panel size. And I can already see just how pretty this color is going to be with our cherries. I hope you can kind of see that here, how well those tones work with that. It makes me so happy already. Okay, so let's pull out that embossing folder. Hoardery. It's a thing. I've coined the term if it's not a real term. I just made it up. Okay, this is just, again, the Swiss Dots embossing folder from Simon Says. It is, okay, I still have embossing powder on my desk. It's gonna make me crazy. I'm sure it's, yep, okay, hold on. I'm gonna just spray a little rubbing alcohol on here and let's just clean the whole thing a little bit better. That will will help. Ah, so much better. Okay, so it's just a standard embossing folder. It's not 3D. You don't need any special crazy sandwiches. So I'm gonna run this through my Platinum 6 using just the sandwich that I just threw something on the floor. Embossing folder. So, oops, yeah, standard embossing folder. So platform base, A, B, embossing folder, and top cutting plate. So A, B, and C. So pop it in there. Pop that pink cardstock in there. Goes through nice and easy. And move this out of the way. And just like this, we've got this beautiful little textured background. Can't quite decide if I want to use the front or the back. And you know what, while I'm on, we're already embossing powder messy anyway, so we might as well go all in. I just did this with another embossing folder the other day, and I really love, instead of a cherry mash that is similar to that paper. I'm not quite sure what the question is there, Michael. Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to read it there. Anyway, so I just recently did this with a different embossing folder. What is that? That looks like a little smudge of ink. Oh dear. What did I do? Oh, you know what? Okay, I'm going to use a different embossing pad. You know what happened is I used my ink stand with the clear, and I set the lid, I think, in a little overflow from the brown ink. So hold on one second here. I'm going to pull out another embossing pad that I have. Okay. So what I did the other day is I took my clear embossing and I just slightly rubbed it over the top of an embossed image, not pressing down too hard because I want to keep it mostly on the part that's popped up and embossed. I don't really mind if it goes over a little bit. And then sprinkle on some clear embossing powder, and it just is going to build up the shine that we already have. Oh, and that worked really good. It's mostly sticky. Like I said, a little bit in the nooks and crannies is just going to add more to the texture, so I don't mind that a bit because it's kind of impossible to get it totally without it doing that, but it's mostly going to be... Okay, I'm going to have embossing powder on my desk again, but I'm just going to deal with that when the time comes. Okay, so we've got a little bit of embossing powder and some nooks and crannies, but mostly on top of those dots. And let's go ahead and heat set it. All right, so those extra little areas that it got in there, I don't know if you can see those. To me, those almost look like little paint swipes because it's just tone on tone. But I hope you can kind of see how it just reflects and you get a little extra shine. Mercedes, you know, if you have a Big Shot, just for this, you wouldn't need to use anything crazy. Just use whatever sandwich you would use for the Big Shot for basic embossing folders. So I was just showing what came with mine. But again, that one is just, it's not a 3D one, so it's a little bit easier. Okay, I'm getting all of the embossing powder mess off my desk, or hoping to. I feel like that was so much embossing that there's a little bit lurking around still, but let's try a different. Whatever's left, I'm just going to deal with, I promise. Okay, so we've got that embossed panel. We've got our lovely cherries. already this is such a fun mix. How are we doing for time? We're doing good. Let's grab that pretty Posh die that I have, and I'm pretty determined I want to use that largest one. So I'm going to grab a piece of cardstock and a little piece of a bubble mailer. This is one of favorite techniques. This is just a single flat piece cut from a bubble mailer, and I use it as my shim on my cardstock. It's just easier on your machine. It cuts better, it recycles, it kind of does all the things. So it's a favorite technique. All right, let me go die cut this and I'll be right back again. Okay, a little drink of water on the way through there. Okay, and that's doing a great job of getting, I probably didn't have to do that, but just like that, I don't have to sit and pop out a million dots. I see one little one there, but that even popped out so easy with just my finger there. I'll pop the rest of these out later. So put those aside and let's see. Oh, you know what? The dots, the whole thing, it just kind of feels a little like an old-fashioned kind of design. And I am here for it. Okay. I think we're going to pop our cherries like that, and then we'll have a nice little spot there to tuck our sentiment and add a little bit of bling. It is all coming together. And then we'll put this on a card. Right now I have to decide, do I want to add, do we want to cut it down so we see that white border, or do we want to just I want to double check. I want to make sure. I want to see if one of the greens in here would be a good choice with the leaves. I don't think so. I think my greens are too, yeah, I don't know. That's not too bad though, actually. Let's look at the lighter green. Oh, you know what? I think I like that one even better. Okay, we might use that for underneath a layer as well here. So let's do a little trimming down there. Kind of like it pulling that green in a little bit. Okay, I'm going to just trim it down to A2 to start with, and then we'll decide. Oh, get my measurements right. Then I kind of have to lay it out and see. Oh, Mercedes! I guess it's just time to order more things. Hubby threw away her mailers because he doesn't make cards, so he just saw them as garbage. So I guess, like I said, you'll just have to order some more things so you have more bubble mailers. All right, now the question is, how do I want these layers to go? I feel like I need white between the pink and the green. Let's move that white card base out of the way because I think that's going to be the way we want to do it. Okay, so this, I'm keeping this full size, and we'll just adhere this right onto our white card base. Okay. Then again, I can be hoardery with that paper and not have to give it up. Okay, let's move this stuff off of here. So now we need to just trim these down ever so slightly. So back to paper trimmer. So let's take off, as long as we do the same on both sides, we should be good. Let's do something like that. And then we just need to back it. Yes. And I'm not super scientific on my measurements. I just like to kind of pick what I want as a border. And I want about like that, I think. So we'll just glue it down so I have the two sides with what I want, and then I can trim down the others to match. And it'll work nice and easy. And that gives us a perfect little matted frame for that. All right. I think I'm just gonna, you know, I put my burner away, but I think we're gonna just stick that directly on. I think we'll start using foam for the top layers, but for all of that matting and framing, we don't need. All right, showing off again. Do you see that little hint of shine from the clear embossing powder? Ah, I just love that. I mean, Leah, that math totally makes sense. I mean, and if you think about it, the bubble mailers are kind of like a freebie because they're a useful tool that you need. So adding them in that seems like fair math to me. All right, let's get that sentiment stamped before I glue these things down. Yeah, I think I like that arrangement coming down there and then that kind of up there. Okay, sentiment time. And I'm just gonna stick with that same stuff that we used. And now what I'm trying to decide is, do we want, so there's that sending sweet thoughts. Thanks for brightening my day would be kind of cute. Do we want this in black or do we want to heat emboss in gold? And I think we want it in black. Sending sweet thoughts just doesn't quite fit in there where I want it. So I think I really like thanks for brightening my day. I think that's going to be the choice there. So to do this, what we might do is actually put it, yeah, instead of popping that up, I think I might just get my stamp positioner. Might be brave and just kind of stamp it there in the middle. Doesn't have to be too exact because we can fit everything else around it. Just to make sure nothing shifts, I'm going to tape this in place just because I extra want to be sure that nothing moves on me. And I'm worrying about making the sentiment straight, but I can turn my circle however I want, so I probably don't really need to worry about that. All right, I'm just going to grab my VersaFine ink because it's nice and close and handy. Okay, let's get that one more time just to make sure we've got a really good impression there on that sentiment. Okay, I love the font. I feel like the font on this matches really well with all of like the little eyelet dots and the dots on that and the cherries and everything. But sometimes lessons are learned the hard way, right? Okay, let me grab my stamp cleaner here real quick. Different spray bottle. Clean that off. Just put that away so I don't have to worry about remembering and not losing it. All right, and then because I want to do some multiple layers of dimension on here, let's see. You know what? This also feels like it needs some added texture on here. I think a little bow out of this would be lovely too. This is just Lawn Fawn white hemp twine. So let me see on there. Do I just want to wrap it around? See if it's level there, if those dots go straight across. You know what? I think that actually does work. Wrap it through a couple times, just using those holes as a guideline. Let's cut a good chunk off of there because I think 2 times around is probably adequate. There's probably 10 million other ways we could do this, but I feel like, whoops, don't pull it too tight, Heather. But I feel like this is going to be a good way to do that there. Wrap it through, tie it in a little bow. Like that little added softness and girliness is going to be fun. Okay, trim off the ends. I always do way too much of this twine just because it's easier to tie the bow when you have a bigger piece. And then I love that you can kind of twist it around and work with it to make it go where you want it to. So the ends don't just kind of bow out in kind of an unpretty way. Look at how soft and pretty that is. I feel like that just ups the girliness so much. This is definitely a girly pretty card. Let's see. Do we want, you know, we don't have any dimension on anything else. We're just going to go crazy with the dimension on this layer or on this top layers. I was thinking about using some thinner foam adhesive so I could do the cherries too, but I'm just still going to do the cherries anyway. All right, let's make sure we have that on there, nice and level. Centered, and the sentiment's straight. That's kind of important. And then we just need to pop those flowers on there and cherries, and then this one up here. So a little bit more foam adhesive to tuck behind, and then we'll bling this up and we'll be done. So those cherries are going to need 2 layers on the bottom ones since the top part's up there and this part is up there. So we're going to add double layers there. And then I think just see, single layer maybe on the flower and maybe on the top of that leaf. Which leaf was that I just said? The top of that one, yes. Okay. And then I lost my spot again, that one. Okay, stick this all down, and then I can't wait to put those little extra embellishments on there too. Okay, kind of trying to hit this so it goes up along the edge, but not too far off the edge of the card. Perfect. And these are just floating free, and that's okay. There's enough stability there that you don't have to worry. And then those cherries only need a single layer. And let's see, do we want maybe a tiny double layer on the top of that leaf to hold it in place? Yes, okay, that will do that. It's like a science trying to figure out the right quantities of foam adhesive, right? Okay. This is going to be one of those cards that I really don't want to part with, and I want to keep forever because it's just so cute. Okay, let's get some of these little embellishments on there, and just like I hoped. Okay, so I do see that those pink ones, they're going to have to go kind of on here to work because they're going to disappear in there. So let's see if I think we can fit. Let's do a little row of 3 tucked right in there, the 3 sizes. They're kind of big, but they're pretty enough that I think it's worth the effort. And then we're going to do the same thing down here. Just tuck that big one ever so slightly underneath. There we go. All right. And that does it. That finishes off this card. Our inspiration, you see all that shine and glitz and glam, and yet that really soft kind of vintagey colors. Oh, Elena, strawberries would be amazing for this. I think that would be lovely. I can't wait to see the version that you make. All right. Goodness. Okay, so I will add links to the brown ink that I used. And I think just that twine. I think those are the only things that I didn't have linked up on there already. So before we go, I did want to point out, I just saw Simon Says Stamp is having a big clearance sale. I linked it in my video description here, a link to that sale group, and there's a code that you put in and you get an extra 50% off. But I wanted to point out a couple things that I saw that were part of that sale that are a really good deal. So first of all, you can't get this at Pinkfresh anymore. This is the Crystals mix. That is on there and 50% off. You get a lot of those and they're lovely and beautiful. So that would be a great deal on that for the 50% off. The other thing that I saw was this Kaleidoscope embossing folders on there. I used that on my first YouTube live on my channel here. This was the card that it got used on, and then another card I made with it shortly after, and then the little bit of the leftover on this card. So another favorite. So for $5, that would be a really great buy as well. So just thought I'd kind of point out, there's a bunch of other things on there, but those were a couple of things that just caught my eye that I wanted to share. So I'm going to show this one more time here. All of that shine. And again, anything on this that you want, linked in the description, it's there for you. And I'm going to switch my camera so that I can say goodbye to you guys. And thank you for joining me again. I can't believe we got all that done in a little under an hour anyway. So thank you for joining me. I absolutely loved getting to create that card and being able to chat with you guys. If you are watching on replay, thank you for joining on replay as well. I would love, if you are here live, if you can hit that thumbs up button for me. It just kind of helps as I'm trying to kind of build my own channel and grow that a little bit. So I'm really grateful for that. If you enjoyed this, I also would love if you felt like sharing it. I will get this card photographed and posted on my social media. I'll probably get it photographed today and I'll have that posted by tomorrow. So it'll be my Saturday post. So I'll make sure and share that. But thank you so much. I really appreciate all of you that come. Doing these lives, if I was just here by myself, would be the most boring thing in the world. And I love chatting with you guys. I loved hearing all of your stories about cherries, as we're all ready to go run to the store and buy some cherries now because we're all hungry for cherries. So so again, thank you. I'm planning on going live sometime next week. Another new thing I got, I wanted to mix everything on today's live, but I finally had to narrow it down. I got some of the Spellbinders Winnie the Pooh press plates, and they are the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. I know I'm probably exaggerating saying that, but I tested one of them out and I kind of have a fun idea for a way to use those. And I showed to my adult daughters and they just kind of melted too. So I feel like there's something so nostalgic about that. So super excited. I might plan on using those next week. Not quite sure. And once Leah gets moved and settled, we're definitely planning really soon to do more lives together. She's just kind of in the midst of packing and not really a great time. So once she is settled and we're able to, we'll be doing that. So again, thank you all for joining me. I'm going to let you go and enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great weekend, and I will hopefully see you next week.